Hey y'all, it's your girl India. Just coming back with some content. I don't know who needs to hear it, who might appreciate it, who wants to skip over it. If the content is for you, please keep listening. If you like what you hear, I would appreciate if you like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to build my page, and if it's not for you, I definitely understand. You know, you just gotta slide on past and head to the next video. But today's video, I'm just gonna talk about returning back to school once you're, you know, an adult student. And I don't mean adult like 18, 19, 20, even 21. I just mean maybe like somebody returning to school late 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in their 60s. I've even seen people go back to school in their 70s. And so when I started my journey to return back to school, I was like 31. I was 31 years old when I decided to return back to school after giving it like some careful thought and heavy consideration. And it's nothing wrong with like the job that I have or the things that I'm doing in life. I'm a best-selling published author. I have a successful cake decorating business, treat business. With that, I do event planning on like a little side hustle, and I work full-time for a very established company. And everything is going good, all things considered. I have good days and I have bad days, but nothing that I would want to complain about. But I did get to thinking one day, after our company had merged for the second time in 12 years, I'm like, wow, this is a thing. Every 6 years, it looks like the bigger or better company buys out the smaller company or the older company, and we recreate ourselves, we rebrand. And through it all, I've been blessed and just lucky that we still have a job. My department is still in there because some departments were phased out. Some people lost their jobs, and I was untouched in both mergers. Both times we got bought out. But then I got to thinking, like, what if one time I'm not so lucky? Like, what if something happened? I mean, and prayerfully that doesn't happen, because I still have friends and coworkers and things that have families and homes and cars and, you know, all that. So I don't wish that to happen. But I was just thinking about myself, like, I make good money, so where would I be able to go if something happens to this position, to this job, to this company, making what I make? How would I be able to sustain and hold down the lifestyle that I'm used to living? I'm used to being able to take trips. We have a mortgage. I don't have a car note anymore, but eventually, coming soon, I will want another car, you know, things of that nature. I like to save. I'm a saver. But I also like to play hard, too. I like to travel. I like to buy things that, you know, are important to me. You know, here and there, I like a good luxury bag. I like having my nails and my hair done. I like jewelry. I like, you know, things like that. So I just really got to thinking about it, and I was just like, I think I need to go back to school. So maybe in my other blog you heard it, or if you didn't hear it, I'm just gonna say it again. I'm a 19-year-old mom. Like, I was a 19-year-old mom. I had my daughter very early, and when I got pregnant, I was in school, and, you know, one thing led to another, and I had to drop out of college to become her mother. I mean, I still worked full-time, but I was a full-time mom, and school at that time just did not fit into the equation. So for me, that's my husband pulling up if y'all see it, but I'm gonna just wave and say hi. So anyway, for me, I just personally felt like I couldn't balance all of those things at 19. I really just wanted to focus on being her mom and figuring that part of my life out. So that's what I did. I stopped school, started working. I mean, I was already working, but I kept working and took care of my baby and figured that part of my life out. I was that mom that was the cheer team coach. I was the team mom. I was the person getting snacks for the PTA. I was the person volunteering for field trips and things of that nature, because it was very important to me to just give that role my all. But my dream had always been to graduate college and be an entrepreneur. But I don't know why having a college degree was always so important to me. But it just always was to me at a young age. I mean, now as an adult, I understand that there's like jobs that you can get that make hella money and you don't even need a degree. But it didn't change. That was always one of my goals. So it really broke my heart to have to stop going to school. But it was okay because I sacrificed for my family, and that sometimes as an adult, I mean, that's just what you have to do, and that's what I did. But when this last merger kind of came up with my job, and it got me to thinking, and I prayed about it and I thought about it, and you know, God, I feel like led me to return back to school. I am a social work student, so that is what I am pursuing, my BSW. Prayerfully, this year goes smooth. I graduate next year, and I'll go right into advanced standing for my master's. And eventually, you know, down the line, I'll get my LCSW, which is licensed clinical social worker. But yeah, so I just returned back to school. So in this video, I just wanted to kind of talk about the pros and the cons of returning to school as an adult, an older adult student. Like I said, when I returned back, I was 31, so it was a lot of things to consider. So if you're like me and you need a little bit of insight, you just need a word, you need a whisper, like let me be that word or that whisper. I want to encourage you to let you know that you can do anything that you put your mind to. If you want to be an astronaut, you go be an astronaut. If you want to go work for the circus, you figure out how to work for the circus. I'm one of them people that I'm going to always tell you to do what your heart is passionate about doing, because we only get one turn around this life. We only get one time in this world, and what you don't want to do is waste your time that you will never get back being what somebody else wants you to be. Because at the end of the day, when you are dead and gone and your spirit is probably somewhere looking out, they're gonna wish that they would have followed their dreams, followed their passion. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be that person. You want to do anything that you can do to make your dreams come true, because like I said, you only get one life to live. So don't live it for everybody else. Especially, I understand we do it in the beginning for our family, for our children. You know, some people even live for their parents. They become what their parents want them to come. But once you get later in life, in late 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s, like, it's your time. Time is now. So I'm gonna say, start off with that, is if you have an idea, if you have something you want to do, a dream you want to accomplish, if you want to return back to school, then return back to school for you and not for anybody else. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with 4 cons of returning to school. And this is all just my personal opinion. Your opinion might differ. You guys can comment and let me know what your cons and your pros are for returning to school later in life. But I mean, these are just the ones I could think of off the top of my head. I did not write anything down. I didn't Google anything. This is just me having an open conversation. So I hope it all makes sense. But number 1, I feel like, is the cost. But that could be when you're younger. That could be when you older. You can have your stuff together, and school is still going to be expensive. I think that they really need to evaluate higher education, especially because no matter what the profession, unless you're like a doctor, you know, nurse, a lawyer, you know, that kind of thing, it kind of seems like the pay don't match up what you pay to go to school for. Like, they need to look at that. Whoever is sitting here figuring out what these particular positions and all of this stuff is making when they come out of college, they really need to reevaluate that, because it costs a lot to go. So cost number 1 is always going to be a con when you think about school. Like, student loan is cool, but then eventually 6 months after you finish with whatever you're trying to do, that bill is going to come, and Uncle Sam is like knocking at your door. And baby, listen, I don't even want to think about it, and I still have a little bit of time, but I'm just saying that that's still something to consider. Time is the other thing. So when you're an older in life student like me, I'm a mom of a 15-year-old. You know, up until like this past year, she was heavy on the volleyball team, and then I work, and then I still have other family obligations. So it is kind of disheartening when you can't go or you can't attend certain events because you have a class. Because for most adult students, older students, they have evening classes. So if my daughter had a game at 6 o'clock in the evening on a Tuesday, but I have a Tuesday class from 6 to 8, I have to go to class. So that means I'm missing something that is very important to me because, like I said, I pride myself on being the mom that is there. I like being on field trips. I like, participating in the classroom. I like being the coach, co-coach, team mom. I really enjoyed those things. So when school steps into play, it's kind of almost like your priorities shift. And so I did have a little bit of a tough time just trying to deal with my priorities shifting for something outside of my household. It almost kind of feels like you feel a little selfish a little bit, but sometimes selfishness is okay when it's for the greater good of making you a better person. So I would say time. I really feel like schools need to realize that these students are not just students without jobs and just sitting around, and they can take a 10 a.m. class every single day for 1 hour. My school, thankfully, they have a variety of classes and different schedules, but sometimes it still doesn't add up. Like, for instance, this fall, I'll be taking field placement, and so I have to work 40 hours at my job. I have to get that in some kind of way in 3 days, and then I have to work 2 days, which is 16 hours at my field placement. And then on the weekend, I even have a Saturday class for the field placement class. So I'm not really sure where all these hours going to be coming from or how I'm going to get here to get there. But you know what? With God on my side, I know I'm going to figure it out. So you don't need me worrying about it. And then so my third con would be unnecessary classes. Like I said that even when I was 17 going to college. Like, if I'm trying to become a social worker, in what capacity am I going to need a biology class? In what capacity am I going to need, a art class? I understand that this well rounds you. So I do get why it's important for the school to have it as a curriculum. Like, some social workers, they do go and use statistics. Now, I'm not a math person, so I'm never going to take a job that's going to require me to use statistics, but somebody somewhere is. But art, music, things of that nature, I probably will never use as a social worker. So I just kind of feel like it's racking up my bill, as we just talked about the cost. And then it's also, taking away the time. Like, if we cut all these classes out that I really don't need to be a social worker, I probably could have graduated in a year or two, probably in about 2 years. But everything is put in place for a reason. But that's just a con to me because I don't understand the unnecessary, the unnecessary classes, the requirements for the university and not for the major. And I'm sorry if I'm talking loud, but I only have a little bit of storage on my phone, so I'm going to keep going. The other con, my last con, would be the pay. So for social workers, it's money out there. So I know everybody say social workers don't get paid and all of that jazz, but there really are jobs out there. And I truly believe that if you pray and you manifest the kind of job that you want, I do think that some kind of way a door is going to open for you to get that job. I do believe in positive thinking. I do believe in the power of prayer. So I'm not even worried about that because the good of the profession outweighs kind of like the pay for me, because I do know that I love to help people, and to be able to help people on a professional platform means that I can help more people. And along that way, along my journey, if I believe in God and I trust in God that He's not gonna let me be forsaken, or He's not gonna let me make less than what I'm making leaving the company that I leave now, then I believe that it'll all work out. So, but still, I do think that social workers do so much. They're talking about sending social workers on ride-alongs with the police. You have social workers in the nursing home. You have social workers in the hospital, social workers in the schools. And we put such importance and values on teachers and nurses and doctors. And I feel like it's not enough importance surrounding the social worker, because I don't think the world truly knows all that we do. But we are the backbone of the community. And I do feel like that should be looked at. And those jobs and that pay, all of that stuff should be reassessed. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that we advocate for ourselves and we keep pushing, bills, and we keep, pushing people to take a hard look at what we do. And then one day, we might be as valuable to the world as a nurse or a doctor, because we do just as much important work. And so just moving right along into my pros of returning to school, you know, later in age, I would say number one would be you're more focused. Like, I don't know about y'all, but when I first went to college, I was 17 because my birthday is late. It's in November. I was at the club like every day. Every day had a day. You know, Monday was probably an off day. Tuesday was like $2 Tuesday. Wilding out Wednesday. You know, Thursday I was somewhere. Friday I was somewhere. Saturday I was somewhere. So it's like I barely studied and did half the stuff I was supposed to do. Now I still got good grades because I'm one of them kind of people where I could kind of like, you know, I use what do they call it? Like I can comprehend what I'm reading, and you know, process of elimination. Like my brain works good, kind of like that. I'm good at writing. Like I said, I'm an author, so writing a paper is not a huge deal for me. So thankfully that worked out in my favor, and I got nothing but like A's and maybe a couple of B's before I had to drop out when I had my daughters. But I wasn't focused. I didn't retain anything. I can't tell you nothing about what I learned my first year of school because I was like, first time out my mama's house, I was living life, I was just doing me. So yeah, school, what? So anyway, now as an adult, I take it more serious. I retain the information. I want to understand what. I'm sorry, y'all. I was sitting in the car and my phone just cut off talking about it was too hot to record. So anyway, I'm back. I was saying, you know, returning to school later in life, I think you're more focused. Like I said, I was clubbing, partying, just living a life, doing everything that you should do when you're 17, 18 years old. But now I retain the information. Now I actually kind of read the chapters, some of them, and you know, things of that nature. Like I feel like I'm more focused. Then I'll say too, I have more insight, like especially in social work classes. Like I apply a lot of the things that I'm learning in class to my real life. So it could be a situation with a family member, it could be a situation with a friend or a coworker, and you know, I just kind of use some of the things that I learned while we were doing role play and play therapy, or different techniques that I learned to try to, you know, have insight to maybe what I'm dealing with in real life to try to change me, because I am on a journey to finding India. Like, you know, we're always becoming something. Like we never are just a thing. Like I'm never just me. I'm always becoming the next best thing. I'm always becoming a better me. So I feel like with the social work classes, and that might not be in every major. I mean, you might not get insight, you know what I mean, if you're an art major in your 30s into your real life, but you might, like, I don't know. But I'm speaking for me. So insight would be another pro. My classes have kind of self-counseled me, like helped me through some of the rough patches and the rough times in my life that I might have dealt with personally, with, you know, my husband, or with my daughter, or a family member, or a friend. So I am very appreciative of the textbook knowledge and being able to apply it in real life. And then I'll also say, going to school later in life, I mean, it makes you feel good that you're able to reach your goal, but then it also makes you feel good to be a positive role model for perhaps if you have children or younger siblings. You know, they see what you're capable of doing. You, or even friends or family members who might be considering going back to school, but they might be intimidated, because it can be intimidating being the oldest person in the classroom. But somebody outside of the classroom may see what you're doing, see how you're juggling everything in life and going to school full time, and they, you know, they might want to mimic what they see. So that's another pro. And then I would say, even though we talked about cost and it being expensive, I would say that later in life, it is a little bit more affordable, just because I do remember being 17, 18 years old, and you know, you get hit with a $200 textbook, and it's like, where am I supposed to get $200 from? And sometimes a lot of that stuff you have to have before those school checks hit, you know, where you get your little refund, school refund, and you could take and do with that. I mean, you're supposed to put it back on your bill, but I don't know who does, because at that time you just trying to get through life. So anywho, it's like you have to get these textbooks. You have 4 and sometimes 5 classes, and $80 book, $200 book. One time I had a $300 book, and then you have to get a $200 lab. It's like, I don't know how they feel like these people can afford all of this stuff, but you have to do it. It's just a part of the par for the course. So when you're younger, I feel like that's a little bit harder to do, because you're typically probably not working somewhere that can grant you the opportunity to pay for that. So you're either getting it from mom and dad, or if you happen to have somebody along the way that can help you. But I feel like as an adult, we have things like credit cards, we have savings, we have a job, that usually pays something little decent, on Fridays or whatever, if you're blessed. So I will say, like, school for me is more affordable now that I'm later in life, just because I have a little bit more opportunity. I got more wiggle room. I'm a little bit more settled in life. So, all in all, y'all, before my video cuts off, I've given you 4 pros, 4 cons of returning to school later in life. For me, that was age 31. But I would like to close and say, you have to look at your life and what you have on the table. Yeah, if you have, rent you're trying to pay, a car note you're trying to pay, kids tuition or anything of that nature, and it's already, your money is stretched too thin, maybe returning to school is not for you. But sometimes if you talk to these schools and you figure out financial aid, and you see what kind of loans or grants are out there, that's a huge help and a huge benefit. And don't let money be the reason why you don't go back and follow your dream. But again, you have to look at your lifestyle. You have to see what's best for you. So maybe if this is something you want to do, maybe it's not a right now at this moment, but maybe by next June, or next August, I'll be ready to go, because you've planned for a year. You've maybe put a little bit of your money aside from each paycheck, so that when next year comes and those books and labs and things like that kind of come about, or a laptop, you need a laptop, because a lot of these classes are now at home and you're not going in person, that kind of thing. You have to be ready for all of that. So I would say take a hard look at what you have going on in your life, but everything is possible. You just have to pray and God will make a way. You just have to plan. All right. I'm sorry, y'all. Again, phone got too hot. All this video recording is like messing with my phone storage. So hopefully I'll have some new equipment or something soon if I do decide to continue with this vlogging journey. But again, I just thought that talking to those that were thinking about going to school later in life, or maybe have already made the plunge and decided to go to school later in life, but maybe just need a little bit of reassurance and just somebody to say, girl or guy, we in there together. I just want to do the video for y'all. So if you like what you see and want to see more content from me, remember to like and subscribe, and comment down below. We can talk about whatever y'all put down in the comments. Y'all have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later.